Hi, this is Editor Troxel. In this tutorial we're going to continue where we left off in the previous tutorial where we were adjusting the parameters of effects that are on the timeline. In this tutorial we're going to go ahead and adjust the effects as well, but now we're going to see how we can add keyframes so that the effects can change over time. So let's see how we can add keyframes to these effects. Let's take a quick review of the previous script that we had written. First of all, we got the track that we were wanting to use, and we got the first event on that track, and we converted that to a video event. We then got the Gaussian Blur plugin ID, and then got the list of video effects, and got that specific effect from the video effects list. Then that effect was added as a new effect to the video event. Then we came down and we got the OFX effect for that effect, looked for the specific parameter that we wanted to change, and then set the value of that parameter. So all of this is what we are going to change today, because this added it as if there were no keyframes, and now we're going to see what happens if we add it as a keyframe. So let's delete all this and look and see what our new lines of code are going to be. I'm going to write a routine called set OFX double parameter, because every type of parameter you have for an OFX is just slightly different in that you've got a different variable that you're sending to it, and sometimes the parameters will have multiple values. In this particular case we're just using the double, and so that is what I'm going to set for this. Next, I need to pass it the OFX plugin that we got right up here. We're always going to need to access that to change the parameters. Then I set the parameter name that I'm looking for. So I've got two horizontal range entries and two vertical range entries. Then I'm going to set the first keyframe at the 0 time code. So I just got time code from seconds 0, and then at 2 seconds in I'm going to change the horizontal range to 0.2. Similarly, on the vertical range, at the 0 time code, I'm going to start with the value of 0, and then at the 3 seconds in, I'm going to change that to 0.5. Of course, they will change between the 0 seconds and the 2 seconds, and the 0 seconds and the 3 seconds, so they're not going to be a hard change. So we will see that once we run this script. So now let's look and see what our set OFX double parameter routine looks like. Here is our set OFX double parameter routine. You can see we're passing it the OFX effect, named OFX. Then we're passing it a string, which is the OFX name. Then we're passing it a time code, which I just said as key time. And then we're passing it a double parameter, which I've listed as key value. So now we set our OFX double parameter the same we did before, only instead of me calling it horizontal range, I'm just going to say this is my OFX parameter. So I named it OFX parm. It is an OFX double parameter. We're getting it from OFX, and we're looking for the OFX name that we passed to the routine. The next line is very important. We have OFX parm.isAnimated. We have to set that to true if we're going to have keyframes. By default it's going to be false, so we have to change that to true if we want to add multiple settings across the timeline for that effect. Then instead of using just set value, now we have our OFX parm.setValueAtTime. And now we're passing it two parameters. The first thing we're passing it is the time from the time code. The second thing we're passing is the value. Up here we were just setting the value. Set value, and we passed it the value. Now we have to tell it what is the time code and what is the value. So let's save this and give it a run. So Tools, Scripting, Run Script. We'll pick our script that we've been running at, and it has finished. And if we play the timeline, you will see that it blurs over time. Now let's take a look at this and see what is actually happening. So let's open the effect list And you can see now we have a horizontal range and a vertical range listed down here at the bottom. At the 0 point, they are both set to 0. At the 2-second mark, this one has changed to 0.2. So you can see here it is at 0.2. The other one at that time is at 0.333 because it's changing over time as well. But we have a second keyframe here at the 3-second mark, in which case it has been set to 0.5. So you can see it got exactly what we were looking for. The isAnimated parameter that we set basically turns on this little clock thing over here. So that is what added the stuff down here at the bottom. If we manually add an effect to the clip, let's just grab something here. Let's just pick auto contrast and we'll drag that down. And you'll see we have our little clocks here. If we click this little clock, then that adds it to the list down here at the bottom. So Intensify is now down here, and we can add keyframes. When that little clock is not checked, then it is only a single setting for the entire time and cannot be changed over time. So the isAnimate button sets whether this little clock here is turned on or turned off. Like I said, by default it's turned off. Then if we look over here, these are now turned on. If you notice, the little red X means that if we click on it, it's going to turn it off. So if I clicked here, that one would go away. And now I only have vertical range down below. Click this back, and I've got my horizontal range back, but I've lost all my keyframes. As you can see, adding the keyframes is a fairly easy process. You just need to make sure you know what time code you need to add the keyframe to and what setting you want to use for that keyframe. And then we wrote the little routine that would add the keyframe at the specified time code so that we could easily change the value for that specific time. Please sign up at www.JETDV.com and subscribe on YouTube to get further notifications on when new videos are presented.